Episode 11. Hawk-eyed. The London and North Eastern Railway was one of the so-called Big Four companies, formed during the 1923 Grouping Act in Britain. In this form, with engines from the North Eastern region and Great Northern Railways, it lasted a mere 25 years, but left an everlasting impression of luxury, prestige and speed. 40 years after the end of British mainline steam, these are the stories they tell. Diesels were making their first appearances on British railways. Prototype diesels were ordered from many companies and appeared in many colours and liveries. It was, however, the humble diesel shunter that was to become one of the most successful classes in British history. By 2008, many examples of the Class 8 diesel shunter were still to be found up and down the country. Gronk is one such shunter. Jet black, with red coupling rods, and a British Railways logo standing proud either side of his engine, he certainly stood out amongst the steam locomotives of Copley Hill Shed. It wasn't the end of steam by any means, however. The British Railways standard locomotive classes were being produced in large numbers still, like the standard Class 6 Pacifics that would visit from time to time. Back to Gronk, and he started work that week with an intense keenness. Allen and Thompson, the mixed traffic engine, were unsure of what to make of him. "He's a sort of a black box on wheels," Thompson said grumpily, watching Gronk shunt some vans. "He does make a strange sound," Allen said. The two engines watched Gronk arrange the fish train with interest. Soon it was ready, and Gronk backed down next to them for a rest. "Good morning," he chirped. Allen replied in kind, but Thompson remained silent. "That was impressive shunting," Allen said, and Gronk beamed back at him. Thompson snorted, and puffed away. "I hope I didn't offend your friend," Gronk said, worried. "Nah," Allen said with a smile. "He's normally grumpy after his washout." "I'm on trial, you see," Gronk said. "If I do well, I might get to stay here." "Carry on like that," Allen chuckled, "and you'll take over as yard shunter from Nigel." "Oh dear," Gronk said, looking worried. "I wouldn't want to lose anyone their job." Allen laughed. "Nigel's glad of the change. He was complaining that he didn't get any long runs with the shunting anyway." "Ah," Gronk said. "Well then, I'll just carry on like that then." It was mid-afternoon when Gronk had time for a rest, and he settled down on the siding closest the shed. The other engines were excited about something. "So he's popping in for a visit?" Stephen said. "On his way back from the Lickey Incline, yes," Sir Ralph said with a smile. "It'll be good seeing Great Western again," Allen said. "It's only a shame Herbert's away. He would have enjoyed seeing him." "We've never had such a good shunter," Sir Ralph said. "He'll have the yard in order for weeks." Gronk listened further. He was not liking the sound of this. "Maybe we'll get to keep him this time," Allen suggested. Gronk was upset. He thought he'd been doing a good job. He trundled back to work sadly. He was deep in thought as he passed the other engines, and he was so much deep in thought that he missed the last part of the conversation. "Be fair, chaps," Stephen said. "Gronk hasn't learnt the yard layout. He's done wonderfully in his first few days." The other engines agreed. The next morning, Gronk was arranging Stephen's passenger train, when a loud whistle echoed through the yard from the junction. "He's here!" Allen called to the other engines, and whistling loudly, Hawk entered the yard. "Hello, Great Western," Allen said. "How are you doing?" "I'm fine, thank you, Allen," Hawk said. "You still think Newcastle are going to win the FA Cup this year?" "Only if you still think Swindon will," Allen said, and the engines fell about laughing. Gronk sidled up behind Hawk, unsure of what to say. "Ah, Gronk," Stephen said. "Come and join us. This is our old friend Hawk." "Hello," Gronk said nervously. Hawk looked at Gronk warily. "Diesel?" "Yes." I know a few diesels back home," Hawk said. "They deliver parcels and carry people. You're too small for either of those things." "I'm a shunter," Gronk said. And Hawk laughed. "We'll see about that. I'll have my hawk eye on you," he said. "I'm going to have some coal and water, and I'll join you in your shunting duties later on." And he puffed away. Gronk was downcast. "I wouldn't worry," Stephen said kindly. "He's a bit quick thinking, that one." "Yes, Stephen, but that is what makes him a good shunter," Sir Ralph said. Later that day, Gronk and Hawk started arranging some trucks. Copley Hill Shed has a hand-operated coaling plant. It's pretty simple. The driver and fireman pick up their shovels and they shovel the coal from the truck onto the incline, into the tender or bunker of the engine below. The empty trucks are taken by Thompson on his goods train each morning, but they are arranged throughout the evening of the day before. Hawk had been watching Gronk shunt all day. He thought Gronk was taking too long to shunt the trucks. "Look," he said impatiently. "Just give them a bang. They'll go flying. Watch," and he biffed the truck. The truck surged forward, and to their horror, headed down the line towards the junction. In the distance, the midday express was approaching. Gronk acted quickly. He charged down to the points and blocked the truck's way. The truck lay on its side, and poor Gronk lay derailed and distraught. That evening, once the mess had been cleared up, Hawk apologised to Gronk. "I'm sorry about the truck," he said. "You stopped a very nasty accident." Gronk smiled back at him. "You're a very good shunter," Hawk went on. "You'll be fine here." "Yes, he will," Alan said with a grin. "I bet you're glad he was so hawk-eyed, eh?"